I'm setting myself a huge challenge in Minecraft Hardcore. I've found this disgustingly ugly island village and I'm giving myself 100 days to fix it. I've got a massive goal to get geared up, beat the dragon, experience a bit of danger and transform that dump into something beautiful for these guys. Not that they really deserve it. So let's start a new world and jump straight in. So we entered the world on day 1 and was greeted by some burning drown, an ocean monument very close by and a little village right behind us. So I grabbed a bit of food and then raided the village in the hope of finding some chests. Nope. No. Nope. 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 Finally there was one house with a chest which unfortunately only had some rubbish armour. We chopped down our first tree, made sure to replant and made some crazy progress by getting ourselves some stone tools. We then raided the drowned chests for free stuff and found a treasure map and had an absolutely epic battle against some drowned. After that I thought it should be sensible, so I rounded up the cows and sheep and they ended up in a pen with a bunch of villagers. I'm sure this decision will bite me in the bum later. And then before I knew it, nighttime was here, so I chose a house to camp out in for now and slept away our first night. Sorry Nitwit. As we woke up on day 2 in our new world, I dropped off some bits in a chest and checked the villager animal pen, which looked like it had grown extra villagers overnight. I decided to kill the only iron golem who was going to defend these guys so I could make a shield, and then headed off to find the treasure. I noticed some spruce trees in the distance which would be very useful and also a shipwreck, so went to have a look at that and it had a few useful bits like some carrots and armour trims. Did another drowned temple, got a power 3 book which was pretty sweet, but then saw 2 trident guys so legged it sharpish.
Loser!
Grabbed the treasure which was actually pretty rubbish. I then spotted a ruined portal in the distance, so I grabbed some sugarcane on the way and at the portal got ourselves a cheeky bit of gold armour. Found another shipwreck which had my first diamond. Here's me flexing to show what a badass I am, but the baby drown behind me is my cue to sleep. Forgot my bed, so I had to head all the way home to the village, where this turtle, who I'm calling Trevor, decided to steal my boat, so in retaliation I stole the nitwit's bed. Day 3 started still with no spruce, but I decided to get some food going, so I made a bucket, grabbed some water and planted some seeds and carrots. Bred up the sheep and cows and was judged by the villagers who wanted to be let out of the pen.
We want to be let out of the pen, Snow.
I then noticed another house which I missed on day 1 and it was full of bookshelves which should come in useful later. Then after checking in on the turtle who was now looking pretty sad in my precious boat, I set off in boat number 2 to finally grab some spruce and see what else we could find. Chopped some wood, got the saplings and then went to another portal on the way back where after a turtle stole my first boat, some magma tried to steal this one. I then went to grab this gold block before realising that if I use a stone pick, this will happen.
Day 4.
On day 4 I headed off in search of some other wood types and on the way found this pog rod and another treasure map at a shipwreck. Saw what I was looking for in the distance, some dark oak and some birch, so I went and grabbed a bit of that and made sure we got enough saplings. Grabbed the buried treasure loot which had more diamonds, before grabbing a bit of free mossy cobble from the tiger. I noticed some azalea trees, so went to go and have a look and saw a huge exposed lush cave with iron and other stuff, so I slept the night away, ready to attack the cave ahead of day 5. After boating into the cave like a totally normal person, day 5 was all about trying to get some more bits, so I grabbed some lush cave stuff like moss and then got to work on getting some iron and coal, because we were still in leather and gold armour which won't last very long in a fight. I was super brave and got rid of these zombies, and then after collecting all the easy iron, I put myself in a box to smelt it all up and was able to craft some boots, leggings and a helmet, so we were finally in full iron gear when we broke out of our moss box on day 6. To start day 6 I made an iron pick to replace the knackered stone one and I just wanted to get back to the safety of our island as I had a pretty full inventory. I grabbed some more mossy cobble for the road and found another shipwreck which had an absolute ton of iron and also another treasure map. I spent the rest of the day trying to figure out which direction to go to find the treasure, failed miserably and then just gave up and went home. I don't want to talk about day 7, okay, and it's all these guys' fault. I started off feeling bad that they were trapped with the animals and I didn't want them to turn into zombie versions at night, so I dumped them into a hole underneath. I did accidentally on purpose punch this villager into the hole, but freaked out about the golem, which actually wasn't a problem. What was a problem was when all the animals just fell into the hole as well, so I tried to get them out and then the villagers just escaped because apparently people don't like being trapped in a hole underground. So after the numpties got trapped again, I let them out and went with a different approach. I just trapped them in their houses when they went to bed, which was probably what I always should have done, to be honest. I moved the animals back into the pen and then lit up the other side of the island a bit and dragged some mobs to the golem. But what did he do? Absolutely nothing. I guess that was payback for punching his mate earlier. On day 8, if the golems weren't going to help me, then I'm going to ruin them and make an iron farm. So using this ianxofour tutorial, I started gathering the materials to put together a really simple early game golem death trap. After digging out the bit for the villagers to sit in, I went to get a zombie trapped in a boat and did that with total flawlessness. I then slept and continued with the farm on day 9, ready for the villagers, digging out this golem spawn area before a thunderstorm interrupted and frightened the hell out of me. No way I'm dealing with that! After sleeping the thunderstorm away, I travelled over to a nearby Nether portal to grab some lava, and I actually managed to expertly get the gold block this time.
Cool.
Next it was time to get the villagers into the farm, which always goes perfectly every single time. Eventually got them moving, nearly lost one thanks to some annoying sand before night hit and it was time to save this villager from a zombie. I then had my first near-death experience thanks to a skelly who was really mean and tried to ruin this video before eventually getting the 3 villagers into their chamber ready for the farm to work. Woke up on day 11 and killed the golem that spawned in the wrong place, confirmed the farm was working as expected but noticed that the water wasn't flowing. Turns out that I can't count to 4. 1, 2, 3, I then decided diamonds for quicker resource gathering would be a good idea, so started the long arduous task of getting down to diamond level. On the way down I heard a bunch of spiders, so figured we might have found a mineshaft. The good news was that it turns out there was not just one but 2 spider spawners right next to each other. The bad news was I am inept and nearly died trying to light the things up. Ah! By the time we reached day 12 we were still digging and we found a lovely vein of 8 diamonds before eventually reaching minus 58. Which is where we then started stripping, where the goal was to find 33 diamonds for all of this lot. Through many iron picks and a couple more in-game days, we found a few diamonds but not anywhere near enough. So with our 14 diamonds as well as the 3 we found earlier, we headed back up, placing stairs, which future me will be thankful for. We reached the surface on day 15, I checked the iron farm which appeared to have been working nicely but I couldn't hear a zombie. So I checked the villagers to find out that the zombie had gone. I thought the zombie would remain when it was in the boat, but I guess it either despawned or a golem spawned there and killed it. So I made an anvil, I made a bow, and I added the power 3 book that we found earlier. I also made a diamond chestplate for protection and a diamond pick before having a cheeky nap, and then we headed all the way back down to the mineshaft in search of a name tag for a zombie. In the mineshaft, this chest gave me a golden apple but no name tag. This one also had a golden apple but no name tag. This guy exploded all over the place before, third time lucky, I eventually found what I was looking for.
Eureka!
With navigating the mineshaft, that took me into day 17 where I left to go back upstairs where I had just enough time before nightfall to scribble on the name tag before flawlessly finding ourselves a zombie, getting them into the boat and then naming them the numpty that they are. The farm was working nicely, so I then expertly dealt with this guy and also this guy, who uncovered what after checking it out appeared to be an absolutely huge cave right underneath our island. Safe to say I didn't fancy dropping into that, so I slept the night away. Woke up on day 18 in the pouring rain and did a few odd jobs around the island. Planted some trees to start getting wood, bred up the animals which did not impress this guy at all, made the wheat field a bit bigger and then was greeted by a thunderstorm and thought, sod that, I'm going back to bed. On day 19, I wanted to start thinking about moving out of this thing into a house of my own, but I wanted some better tools for resource gathering. I figured some trading would help, so I got some flint, made a couple of fletching tables, and made 2 fletchers. I chopped some trees until my axe broke, made a diamond axe, chopped some more trees, and went to trade some sticks with our lovely new fletchers, but disaster struck.
Good afternoon, I'm Luna Moonbow, and you join me here live at the scene of some expert Minecraft stupidity, thanks to none other than the world famous idiot, Average Snow. As you can see behind me, where once lived some villagers who peacefully were going about their day, now lies a completely empty building. We've managed to gather some CCTV footage of the incident in question. As you can see, the first problem appeared to be when Snow swapped his dirt block for a basic trapdoor. As nighttime fell, this allowed a zombie to get up close and personal with our beloved villagers. who then proceeded to vanish without a trace. No one will ever truly know the pain they went through at the hands of Average Snow.
After all of that, the final villagers we had left were all in this small house, so I decided to try again with hiding them underground. I dug down, moved them into the old pit from a few days ago, and made some new Fletchers. I then spent the next few days trading for sticks, then chopping trees, then trading for sticks, then chopping trees. You get the gist. By the time we reached day 24, we had 3 stacks of emeralds, which should be enough for a few books. So we grabbed the lecterns from one of the houses so we could start rolling for the 3 books we wanted: Unbreaking, Efficiency, and Mending. I am aware that those images all look the same. It was then I realised I'd made all the villagers we had into Fletchers, so I harvested the wheat field and forced the villagers to have some babies. Whilst waiting for them to grow up, I moved the cows and sheep into separate pens. I saw our 2 babies having a snooze and realised it takes villagers a while to grow up, so I took a trip over to another village I'd seen in the distance, intending to get the free hay bales so I could make a bunch more bread. Couldn't be bothered to transport the actual villagers, okay? I also saw cherry wood in the distance over by the village. I reached dry land and grabbed some hay bales, but things were a tad dangerous, so I slept the night away. Woke up and grabbed anything half decent that I could find, before grabbing some pretty pink petals and wood, and then heading back over to our own village. I planted cherry saplings and checked our villagers, who had now grown up. None of them really wanted to sleep, so I realised I needed to raise the ceiling. They all instantly then went to bed, so I had a cheeky nap next to them. The next few days were grim, I'm not going to lie. I basically spent the next few days rolling lecterns to get the trades that I wanted. In between placing and breaking lecterns, I made more babies. I then picked up Infinity, which wasn't on the original list but is super useful. Continued placing lecterns, breaking lecterns, getting a trade, accidentally hitting villagers in the face, placing and breaking more lecterns, before finally getting all the trades that I wanted. I then put the enchants on the gear with that satisfying anvil sound, before trading a bunch of sticks to mend the axe, and then finally had a sleep with the villager homies. On day 31, it was finally time to build our own little house to live in, so I had a look from above about what materials would be easy to get. We've got all the wood, loads of sand, pockets of clay dotted about, as well as all the stone etc. we got from digging down before. Look at that moron standing there holding his fish. We then got to work on grabbing those bits, including collecting some sand, chopping down some trees, stealing some mossy stone stuff from the drowned temples, then grabbing some clay balls and some granite before pre-stripping some logs, which was kindly interrupted by this guy donating me his leads. Day 34 was just spent crafting up resources before managing to bag a cheeky phantom membrane for good measure. We then finally got to work putting a build together. We started off clearing a bit of space and knocking down one of the houses before going with a base using the stony bits. We then went for some sandstone walls, which is a lush block that's super easy to get hold of. We used spruce for the roof outline, and then for the roof itself I went a bit wild and used granite with a bunch of bricks chucked in. I then whizzed round and added some details like windows, some stairs and a little thing out the front before standing back and admiring the build in all its glory. For the next couple of days I quickly knocked up an interior, which included a little smelting area downstairs, somewhere nice to sleep, and then somewhere to dump all of our stuff. I should add, I still need to actually move everything in. And after that taking way too long, time is ticking and we really need to start making some progress. I want some wings to go a bit faster and fly around, and for that we need a few things. Firstly, we're going to need some more diamond armour, but we're also going to need some protection enchantments for it, for, well, protection, as well as some eye of enders. Oh, and also some food, because this is becoming a bit dire. On day 44, it was back to rolling villagers for a bit. I managed to blag a cheeky feather falling 3, so grabbed a couple of those to double up, as well as getting an absolute bargain prop 4. And after more stick trading, a cheeky fortune 3. We added fortune to our pick, which was looking pretty OP by this point, and then went down to the bottom of the world to search for some more diamonds. Lost this one to lava, which was a bit sad, but it didn't matter too much as eventually we found this 8 vein, which gave us 20 of the bad boys. Grabbed some coal on the way back up and arrived at the surface to the sunlight of day 48. I then made the helmet, leggings, booties, sword and shovel, and was looking fancy as heck if I say so myself. We were a bit low on levels, so got back to chopping logs so we could get sticks both for levels and emeralds. By that point it was night time and the villagers were having a nap like proper lazy sods. Day 49 morning arrived and we got straight on with trading for protection and unbreaking for the new gear. I put as many enchants onto the armour as I could, but not quite everything just yet because levels are a problem. but that doesn't matter anymore because it's day 50 and it's time for the Nether. And to get to the Nether we obviously need some obsidian, so we hustled over to one of the nearby ruin portals to grab a bunch. On the way back the sun started to set and you can see our new house in the distance looking phantasmalistic. Popped home to make a gold helmet and grab a flint and steel and thought perhaps it would be a good idea to pop protection onto the helmet because I'm a scaredy cat. But obviously we've got no levels, so started to attack some of the nearby neighbours with various levels of success. That was eventually enough for prop 4. Carried on getting levels and then I realised that the iron farm was stuffed, so I'm guessing the zombie disappeared again. Which was kind of annoying, but I took the chance to drop this guy in, then a golem spawned down there, which I guess kind of explains what was happening. Button down there, the farm started to work again, so I flawlessly got the last levels that we needed to also pop mending on, and we are good to go to the Nether. So I quickly grabbed some more golden apples, just in case, and popped up a temporary yet beautiful portal. With my heart beating fast, I hopped through, hoping for a decent spawn, and, well, of all possible spawns, a warp biome is not too bad. Pretty safe and lots of pretty blocks. I looked around hoping to find a fortress close, and you won't believe it. Yep, nothing good, and not even remotely close that I could see. I failed to hit this ghast, so I just went back to the portal and did what any self-respecting loser would do. I just kept digging and digging, low enough that if we saw something, we could make it down. The whole dig down low thing so I could see stuff proved unnecessarily dangerous with this bridging, but it did allow me to get some pretty nice blocks. Along the way, I was faced with some unbelievable levels of danger. After recovering from that, I carried on digging and bridging my way until I saw this guy taking a taxi and then saw what I was looking for in the distance. Well, not those guys. Those fiery guys. I painstakingly found a way to bridge down, jump down, and we were in. I pretty much instantly saw Neverwart, which was a bit of a result, but no blazes. Explored around for a bit, found this chest with some diamonds, but again, no blazes. Found another stash of Neverwart, so grabbed that, but you've guessed it, no blazes. Continued searching, got another chest, this time with a saddle, and then blazes! Took out the first batch and then just basically stood around and dealt with them like an absolute top class pro. I figured 20 something blaze rods should be enough, so headed back feeling pretty chuffed with myself. On the way back, took out a few of these losers. And then we headed back towards the portal. Grabbed some warp bits and bobs for the road, as I figured the warp blocks would be nice for a bit of a splash of colour somewhere along the line, and then it was time to head home. And you know what really makes somewhere feel like home? About a gazillion zombies all desperately trying to kill you. Okay, like 7, but the point still stands. Time now to get prepped for the dragon fight, because I kinda need all the help I can get. Started off the day by putting the Nether stuff away and then got the bits together to make some potions. Made some slow falling with the single membrane we got earlier, as well as some strength because I don't have any enchants on my sword and that might help us out. I want to plan for some wings, so grabbed a spare mending book and traded for some sticks to get an unbreaking, and then they all decided to go to bed, which is obviously totally unacceptable. So rather than waste the night, I headed back to the Nether to get some ender pearls while they slept. Oh, enough of that nonsense. After some really brave swiping on my sword from the safety of a hole, I managed to get 16 pearls, which should be more than enough, so I came back through to the overworld on day 55 to be greeted by an ominous thunderstorm. I then proceeded to grab the Unbreaking book and made a new shield and an anvil for the wing chant. I made the Eyes of Ender and realised I could make an ender chest, so I did that feeling all smug for extra inventory space until I remembered I don't have silk touch and actually I'm a numpty. I made a few rockets with the small amount of gunpowder I'd gathered so far, and then it was time to find the stronghold. But it's night time, so probably a good idea to sleep, and then we can head off. So finally it was time to head off, and we threw the first die. And it got stuck on the roof. Good start, eh? We eventually found what seemed to be the place in the night of day 56, so after getting rudely interrupted and dealing with this witch, I did what every sensible hardcore player should do and just dug straight down. Started searching around the stronghold and found another armour trim. Felt bad for this silverfish who truly looked a bit pathetic, but not that bad as I killed it anyway. Found another library and a couple of more sweet books like this one, which will do nicely for the bow, as well as an efficiency and also a mending book, before finally stumbling across the end portal room. Made my snow bow even better, threw away some junk, and then finally it was time to go. I definitely wasn't scared.
It's a total fabrication.
In we jumped and got cracking on with a dragon fight, which involved hitting some crystals and missing some crystals before we were finally ready to start attacking the big fella with our absolutely insane bow skills. Okay, actually I'm pretty awful. And that was proved when I managed to hit myself in the face with this arrow. I then went for a pre-elytra fly on more than one occasion before eventually I finally got round to hitting that winning shot. I then collected a whole bunch of levels before grabbing that precious and actually worthless dragon egg. Here's me flexing. Don't I look super proud of myself? Next up, it was time to find one of these. More specifically, this floating ship in the sky. And the first challenge to navigate was the fact that the gateway was hovering over the void. So I grabbed some blocks and then bridged up to the gateway. Hoping not to miss, I ender-pearled in and landed right on the edge of the platform, which was just a tad scary. I looked up carefully to avoid endermen, and then literally right there in front of me was an end city and a ship. What a result! I bridged and then ran over to the city, had a bit of a ding dong with the shulker bouncers at the front before popping my final slow falling potion just in case, and then towering up to the ship. I said a friendly hello to this guy and picked up our elytra, feeling very, very smug. The loot was decent, with enchanted gear and armour, as well as the most important part about any end raiding, beetroot seeds. Time to loot the rest of the city, so I popped the wings on and realised I had left the anvil in the stronghold like a numpty, so I couldn't enchant them. But feeling brave, I flew across and started dealing with the noisy sods that live here and looking for any decent loot that I could find. Amongst other things, I managed to get a silk touch pick, which meant we could finally get that ender chest. So after storing the important bits in there and after dealing with a few more shulkers, I decided it was finally time to cut my losses and travel home. Thankfully, no endless flying around searching for a gateway because we had our original one so close by, so after nailing the landing like an absolute hero, I pearled through that and we had officially completed the game. And after all the drama we've had recently, day 60 was a much chiller day, and it started off with something super duper important from the end raiding. Perfect. I guess I should also enchant the wings, so I popped Unbreaking and Mending onto them, and then after grabbing another Unbreaking book from the Pit of Despair, I sorted out some gear and repaired the trusty snowbow. I put down the dragon egg somewhere special and then decimated the crops using my fortune pick, because I hear, although I am probably massively wrong, that gives you a few extra seeds. I made the field a bit bigger and replanted the wheat and tatties before breeding up the cows because it just isn't noisy enough with this many. The iron golem didn't look very happy to be stuck in there with them, so I put him out of his misery. From a distance, obviously. I emptied out my inventory, and as I walked out my door on day 61, I was starting to think about some more building. The villagers are all cramped up down here, and let's be real, their old houses suck, and this is the only thing that we've built so far. So maybe we should start building a nice village for them, given all their hard work. And also to have actually achieved something. So what's the first step to building a village? Well, I'll tell you, but first you have to painfully watch me try to escape from this house. It's really not that difficult, but apparently I can't walk across a little gap. Go on, Snow, you can do it. Give it another go, it's really not that difficult. Nope, you failed. Maybe this time will be the one. Go on. Oh, nope, failed again. That's better. Aren't you a clever boy? Snow, you are a complete idiot. Like I was saying, what's the first step to building a village? Well, knocking down the old village, of course. So that's what we did, working day and night for the next 2 days until getting to the final house and forgetting that I still had this guy hidden away. I thought I'd figure out what to do with him later, but then later came and I saw he was done for. See ya, loser! So now just over 35 days to speedrun turning this empty space into a village for our beloved villagers. And step 1 for that is to make a layout. So I popped down to the storage room and grabbed some blocks to work out a layout for the upgraded village. Once that was done, I trapped this llama in a boat for the actual lols and hopped into FreeCam to have a look at what we've done. I'm probably biting off a bit more than I can handle here with 7 houses, but I'm sure it'll be alright, won't it? Won't it? Oh, and it looks like I also forgot to tear down one villager house, but maybe we'll keep that for old time's sake. To To finish the day off, I failed to get gunpowder from these dorks and then flew off to get a whole bunch of dirt. I figured we're probably going to need to do some terraforming, so it's good to have all that ready to go. Flew back to the island, and now it was time for a mammoth resource gathering session. With time running out, we need to keep the blocks simple, so I have a pretty good idea of what materials I need, and the first step was getting rid of the big mound of trees on the edge of the island. That took us into day 65, where after warming up a bit of steak, we flew off in search of somewhere to gather a ton of sand. Grabbed a bunch of that, filled up the inventory, so came back to make a couple of shulker boxes before heading back to carry on. After a while, it started to get a smidgen dangerous, so I bailed, flew back and tried to grab some gunpowder from the safety of our island. Finished the day off by dealing with the wheat fields, because we're going to need a fair bit of wheat for this island later. By that point, it was day 66, and we headed off, casually hot guying this chap on the way back to the lush cave from early on in the world. Grabbed a load of clay and mossy bits from the cave before grabbing some mossy cobble from the tiger. We then grabbed some azalea leaves, and yes, I am doing this with my silk touch pick because I can't be bothered to fly home to make some shears. You can judge me in the comments. Finally, whilst we were here, we grabbed a load of coarse and rooted dirt, which might come in handy for paths, before having a staring competition with this skelly, which was interrupted by phantoms, who are annoying, so I slept. I then flew home and grabbed a bunch of granite and then properly used the silk pick this time for some stone, and then it was already night time. I wondered why the golems were so obsessed with the cows, and then got cracking on with smelting balls and crafting up all the resources that I wanted for these builds. Unbelievably, that took us all the way through to the night of day 70, where we had a whole bunch of materials all prepped and ready to go. So it's time to start building. And after getting interrupted by the most annoying thing in the whole game once more, we got cracking with building the first house. And basically it's the same palette as our big house, sandy stuff, spruce trim with a bricks and granite roof and a cheeky stone tower on the side. No interior yet, but that will come later as we move straight on to house number 2 with some exciting dirt placement first. Followed by some more building. This one again with a similar palette, but this time with a sand tower instead of stone and a funkier roof shape for good measure to go with the brick type roof pattern. And after building 2 houses, what do you think comes next? You guessed it, a whole bunch more dirt placement before cracking on with the lovely villager house number 3, which took us all the way through to day 77. And that was looking fancy as heck, and the next house on the radar was this one over here, but that's going to hide away our lovely friends. Not the golems, of course. So we popped back into the house past the llamas from earlier, who looked a tad different from before, and grabbed a bunch of stony blocks and a stone cutter. We then did yet more dirt stuff before placing a bunch of stone bits in a big circle for the animals, grabbed some podsoil with the trusty silk touch, not a shovel, and made it look kinda trodden in and suitable for mucky animals. Next fun job was relocating the animals, which went as well as you would think, almost dying to this skelly because I couldn't shoot him through the cows. Sheep move was much simpler, and they were all loving life before I took out the stragglers and watched the sun rise into day 79. So with just over 20 days to go, we have an animal pen and 3 villager houses built, but I think we need to add a bit of a new colour. So with my big brain, I remembered we have a lovely warp forest in a very nearby dimension. I grabbed some copper that I'd picked up on my travels, made that into blocks and then placed it out to start to oxidise. I then hopped back into the Nether where I had some protection and grabbed a whole bunch of blocks from the Endermen's natural habitat. As I arrived back in the overworld, the sun was setting on day 79, so I crafted up a bunch of warp type blocks for some more villager houses and checked on the copper progress. So only 20 days to go and still loads to do if we're going to finish this thing, including 4 more villager houses, interiors for the houses, moving the villagers in, and then decorating the island with some farmland and connecting everything up with paths. So time to get cracking on with building those final houses, but not before we make this absolutely legendary shot, clear out a little bit more space and then repair our shovel. Then it really was on to cracking on with building those 3 beautiful bluey roofed houses, as well as swapping more sand for dirt mixed in. I tried to make these simple and quick to build, and it took us up to the night of day 85 where we had 1 more house to build. But before we could do that, we had the problem to face of all this blooming sand. So we got on with breaking that, ready to swap with dirt, and was greeted by a thunderstorm. But with time running out, we ploughed on until I saw lightning set the ground alight, and that scared the butts out of me, so I slept away day 85. Carried on breaking sand, and that took a long time. Eventually finished, and this guy turned up. Do you think he'll buy the sand? I think we have a little bit left over. Grabbed the dirt we had left. This was obviously not going to be enough. So So we got to work on placing, and sure enough we ran out pretty quickly, and as you can see from this aerial shot, nowhere near complete. So we made a couple more shulker boxes and flew off to decimate some of the nearby landscape. Before we could get started, this guy tried to waste me, so I flew away and then nailed him with this perfect shot before finally cracking on with the dirt collection. I briefly stopped to cook a bit of steak before carrying on and getting to the point where our shovel was a little worse for wear. So we packed up and headed home, where we repaired the shovel once more for a rough 17 levels, and then got to work on swapping this whole mishmash of an island out to be dirt and grass. This took forever, and by the time we were done it was coming towards the end of day 90. And this is what it looked like before all of that, and here's what it looked like after. That was a lot. And apparently I've broken nearly 8,000 sands so far, and that is way more than the average person should be doing. But no time for resting, because with only 10 days left, this thing is not even close to being done. So to try and get there, we spent the rest of day 90 and 91 building the final villager house before we were rudely interrupted by this horrible green thing. And after recovering from that close call, we spent the rest of day 91 cleaning up the copper before finally getting round to joining up all these builds together. And to have some nice paths, we had to get rid of some paths, so we wiped out the existing path blocks before sorting out a new layout joining all the houses together. As we finished that, we grabbed some slabs and stuff to allow ease of walking around and stumbled across this dude having the time of his life. We popped down the slabs and stairs, and as we moved into day 93 we desperately needed some light to stop all the mobs spawning, so we stuck down lanterns all around the paths. By this point it was starting to come together, but let's be honest, it's a bit bland. We were in need of some colour badly, so we grabbed some bone meal, smashed a whole bunch of tall flowers and then spammed them all around the island in a totally coherent way. Time then for some trees, but no chance we have time for custom ones, so grabbed some saplings to spam and our mate the llama was still going. We planted a bunch of cherry trees down by the old villager house, oak all the way around the edges and a bunch of spruce at the top of the island in the old wood chopping area. We then needed to do something by the iron farm, and what better way to fill up that area than by using the poppies from the farm. So we popped a bunch of those down to surround the burning golems and also apparently a turtle. While we waited for the trees to grow, we bone milled some azaleas throughout the path areas and spammed bone meal throughout, as well as leaves just for a bit of framing. And then we just had one big area in the middle to finish off. And watching me craft all of these, it doesn't take a genius to figure out what's going to happen down there. Something exceedingly good. But then, disaster. Sort of. Because when going to grab some water and legging it from this guy, an absolute terror tried to ruin the whole video, blasting me down to 1 heart and making me run away like an absolute numpty. We then spent the next 2 days watering and hoeing and seeding and lanterning. All of those are totally real words, I promise. And as we walked around our lovely new village on day 97, I think it's finally time to actually move in our beloved villagers. So we quickly did the first really simple interior, but as we headed over to the villager pit of despair, we were faced with disaster. Yep, all that work for our friends and they've all become infected and now they stink of mouldy farts. But oh well, at least I don't have to move them all in now, and I guess that I don't have to finish the interiors either. So we covered them all up, and all that means is we have a couple of days to kill. So as I wandered around wondering what we could do, I spotted these guys having a great time down the far end and thought maybe we could make that a little bit nicer. So we grabbed the shulker of stony bits, and over the next couple of days we put together this thing. I don't really know what it is to be honest, but it looks a bunch better than nothing being there and makes these guys burning away look a little bit more extravagant. And by that point it was the night of day 98 and we had to decide, do we sleep or do some more building bits? And obviously it was the building thing. What sort of absolute wrong'un do you take me for? And the only thing left I could find was the portal, which was looking pretty sad. So we just quickly placed a bunch of random blocks and we did this. And it ain't perfect by any means, but not bad for a quick few minutes of randomness. And as the sun rose on day 99, we wandered past our old villager friends and I thought we should probably warn any visitors with a little sign of what is nearby. Stinky villagers. And while we were doing some naming of things, one little dude I have grown quite fond of is our flower turtle. Not sure if they are quite as happy to be there, but it's a bit late now, isn't it? And then finally, these two. Let's call them Pat the cat and Reginald the cow. He isn't impressed with that one. We then cleaned up the chest dumping ground, and to be honest, I just chucked everything into a random chest, because at this point, who really cares about organisation? Okay, to be honest, it really hurt doing that. I then made some more rockets with the stragglers of gunpowder I could find, and as the sun sets on our final day, we've done lots of building in the past 30 odd days. Should we do something dangerous / fun / completely stupid that might end up ruining the whole video?
Yes.
Because if we pop through our fancy new portal and ignore the new Nether mob, I am aware that if we fly over this way, there's something that I've not actually tried to raid in the world before, and I thought that we might be able to get another cheeky armor trim. And as we know by this point, I'm obviously a complete wimp and the brutes do hit pretty hard. So I took the first one out, and then I jumped in, and annoyingly there was nothing good in this chest, and in the second chest nothing good except a soul spree book, which obviously I won't use. Wore the second one down from afar and then hot guiding with this beautiful shot before jumping in, and was there a trim in the chest? No, but there was a lodestone, so it could be worse. Saw the third and final chest and swooped down hoping for the best, and was there a trim in there? Was there? No, but we got pig step, let's flipping go! So I flew back to the portal feeling pretty smug, and with goodies in hand I made a jukebox for I think the first time ever in a Minecraft world, which meant we had a cheeky day 99 bop. What an absolute tune that is to take us out to our final sleep as we head into the big one. Day 100 baby! Yeah! And after waking up on the big day 100 and despite not getting a trim at the bastion, it's only right that we trim our gear. Looking fresh.
Nice.
And then that was it. Walking around our beautiful island, what an absolute ride it's been in this world. I'm super proud of everything we've achieved in just 100 short Minecraft days. Okay, who am I kidding? This video has taken a long time to make, so short is complete nonsense. But thinking back over the 100 days, what have we accomplished? We've got fully geared up, we've done the dragon, and been end raiding. We've made friends who are now proper stinky, we've marooned a turtle in the middle of a flower field, and we've done an absolute ton of building, converting this absolute dump into something I am really super proud of. Anyway, enough of me bleating on, I'm going for a nap. See ya!